What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Before I get started, I want to mention that I will be giving away 2 year-long subscriptions to the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty box at the end of this video, so make sure you watch to the end of this video so you know how to enter that. This past year has just been mind-blowingly awesome for me. It's been so rewarding working on this channel, and it's all thanks to you guys and your support. I mean, even this past week, at RedFalcon94 on Twitter sent me some Funko Pops just because he's a nice guy, and getting to know all of you and being able to talk about Star Wars with so many diehard Star Wars fans has been amazing. And I wanted to make sure that I do something really cool for all of you here at the end of the year. So just watch the end of the video to make sure that you are eligible for the contest. Starting with patron questions, the Screen Avenger asks what my favorite new addition to the Star Wars canon has been over this past year. It seems like cheating to say Rogue One because, I mean, that would technically be my answer. I'm pretty sure the movies every year will be my answer, but let's talk about not movies, and I think I'm going to go with the Darth Vader comic. I was very satisfied with how that ended up. I liked seeing the aftermath of the Battle of Yavin, how the Emperor reacted to it, how Vader reacted to the Emperor's reaction, and how he won favor in the Emperor's eyes, all culminating in his taking over the Executor. So I think I'm going to go with that. I was also a really big fan of the book Bloodline. So those off the top of my head are kind of my 2 standout favorites for the year. Jake Pickering wants to know what my best and lowest moments of the year were. The best moments are really easy. It would be hitting 100,000 subscribers back in April and then hitting 200,000 only 8 months later, this month in December. Like I said, mind-blowingly awesome. All thanks to you guys. It's been an exciting year. For the lowest moment, I think most of us could agree that the past couple of days have been pretty difficult. So I'll go with that. Noah Lopez asks why Leia hasn't ever been tempted by the dark side, considering all that she's lost with her entire planet, her adopted family, her brother abandoning her, her son falling to the dark side, and her husband or ex-husband being killed by her son. Actually, the novel Bloodline, which I just mentioned, it touches a little bit on her interactions with the dark side, her history with it. For example, she talks about how she tapped into the dark side to kill Jabba the Hutt, and it was something that she did unintentionally and unknowingly at the time. But looking back on the event, she is realizing that the Force and her anger gave her the strength to kill Jabba. And the rest of that book goes into a little more of her interactions with the dark side. Throughout that book, she touches it a little bit, but not in a major way. Plus, she hasn't really honed her skills, so I think ultimately it's kind of inconsequential. It's just more of a philosophical, she shouldn't head down that path. It's not like she'd become a threat to the galaxy. It's just, what kind of person is she going to be? Josh McIntyre wants to know what kind of spin-off material I would like to see from Rogue One. And then Josh, you mention a Baze and Chirrut story and another volume of Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. I agree with both of those. They would both be my top picks as well. And they actually have announced they're going to do a Baze and Chirrut novel, a short novel, like a chapter book. And I think, especially with some of their interactions in Rogue One, like Chirrut saying, "Relax, Captain, we've been in harder situations than this." I think we're going to get some of those stories and situations. As for Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away, I would love it if they would do a volume of that for every film that came out. I mean, there were plenty of little background characters, especially if you look through the visual guide for Rogue One. And I'm always into telling those stories about the really small, minor characters that don't even have speaking parts in the films. They just look cool. So yeah, I would absolutely be down for another Tales from volume. Mike Bazier asks if I would want to see Kyle Katarn or Dash Rendar return to the canon. The answer is, of course I would. I think anyone that's a fan of Legends would love to see both of them. Unfortunately, I think Kyle Katarn is becoming more and more unlikely, especially with Rogue One and the story it told. Kanan shares a lot of similarities with Kyle. I think there are a lot of characters that are just too similar to him now. I really doubt he would ever come back. But as for Dash, I'm actually doing a video about this exact topic in a week or two, so I don't want to spoil the whole video, but to tease it, it is kind of a spoiler for the video, but I do think that Dash is going to return at some point. There's a lot of clues that he might that aren't necessarily canon, but it's very strongly hinted, at least in my opinion, that he would likely make an appearance. So I kind of go into the evidence of that and why it might happen and how it might happen. So keep an eye out for that video. That's it for patron questions. If you are a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, as always, go back to Patreon and our weekly thread, and I left you a written response there. If you're not a patron and you're interested in learning more about Patreon and how it works, there's a link in the description you can follow to learn more. On to YouTube questions. Grand Admiral Thrawn himself asked why he wasn't in Rogue One. Well, I'm still of the opinion that you will die, you will be killed at some point in Star Wars Rebels, so that's probably why, and I'm very sorry to break that news to you. Darth Primus Ray wants to know why Darth Vader's castle is on Mustafar if he hates it so much. Well, according to the visual guide, he is there at the Emperor's request or demand. I could also see it being kind of a way that Vader is punishing himself for what he's become, but also a reminder of how he got there, a reminder of his failure to defeat Obi-Wan. Not to mention, it's such a source of pain and anger for him that it would help him grow in the dark side. So there are reasons for him to be there, although I don't think they're very pleasant ones. Rasmus Eck asks what I thought about Cassian shooting his informant at the beginning of Rogue One. I think his name was Tivik. I really liked that moment because going into that film, I thought I knew what to expect from Cassian. I just assumed he would be like your normal everyday hero through and through. Like, I'm here to save the rebellion, and then right off the bat, his first scene, he kills a guy with an injury that wouldn't allow him to escape. And he doesn't want him to talk, so he just puts him down. And the novelization goes into his feelings about that and the fact that he's done a lot of things like that before. So immediately, my opinion of Cassian had to change, and he became much more dangerous, much less trustworthy. So I didn't know what to expect for the rest of the film, and that was a good thing. So I was very happy about that scene and surprised by it. Starkiller100 wants to know what I thought of Borgullet, and I thought that he was a weird inclusion. I don't know that I would call it lazy so much as just so out of place. Everything with Saw felt a little off to me. I think that all kind of became the victim of reshoots, if I had to guess. I think that Saw was supposed to be very different initially, and then maybe they just had to change the way things worked, and I'm guessing that Borgullet is part of that. Again, to bring up the novelization, it does make a little more sense in the book, but as for the film, it needs to make sense there too, and it just felt off and strange. When you compare it to the rest of the movie, it's like that's just so far out of left field. But really, it was just one small scene, and it was like kind of inconsequential, you know? Like Bodhi lost his mind for a second and then came right back. In the novel, it was a little more gradual. He had a little bit of a harder time putting his memories back into place, but in the film, it was all just very unclear and odd. And last question for the day, Joey Angotti asks how the U-Wing jumped to light speed while it was still within the gravity well of Jeddah. The whole gravity well thing, it's possible for ships to jump into light speed pretty much at any time. It's just that they have to bypass safeties, and it's really not recommended. It's something where a lot of things can go wrong if you do that. But if it's like a last-ditch effort, like say you're trying to escape an exploding city and it's your only option, it is possible. The safeties are more in place to keep you from running into things. So if you're going through lightspeed and it detects a gravity well, it will pull you out of lightspeed so you don't smash into it. You can disable those safeties, you just run the risk of smashing into a planet at lightspeed. So that's why the safeties are there. But they don't mean that it's impossible to make the hyperspace jump. I think this has changed a little bit from Legends to now, and I'm taking this information from tweets that Pablo made. By the way, there's a new subreddit that's all about Pablo's tweets, which is a great resource, so you should check that out. I think it's r/Supreme Pablo Hidalgo, but silly name, but I've been following it since it started, and it's pretty cool. That's it for questions, so if you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, just put it in the comments below or go over to Patreon where we have our weekly Q&A thread. So now let's talk giveaway. Again, I'm going to give away 2 year-long subscriptions to Smuggler's Bounty. I'm going to give away 1 to subscribers and 1 to my patrons because we do a monthly giveaway anyway. So there are 2 ways to enter. The first is to just be a patron. You can do that by following the link in the description. And the second way is by following the other link, the gleam.io link. And there are multiple ways that you can get entries, like doing a tweet, following me on Twitter, stuff like that. You can do as many of those as you want or just 1. It's totally up to you. Unfortunately, Smuggler's Bounty only delivers to US and Canada, so those are the only countries that can possibly win. For those of you that don't live in those countries, I'm sorry. I'll try to think of a way, something to do for you guys, because I love you all too, and I don't want you to feel excluded. I just really like Smuggler's Bounty, and I thought it would be a cool thing to give away a whole year of the subscription service. I thought that would be cool for all of you, so it's just a way for me to say thank you here at the end of the year. And I will announce the winner, the 2 winners, next week in the Q&A video. So that's it for today. If you haven't already, please enter the giveaway, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.